We got a picture with her. Insert photo here. It was taken on my shitty phone. Yes. My heart was racing for like 48 hours afterwards. Welcome to Sleepover Cinema, where we analyze the movies, shows, and music that created the collective unconscious of those who think women should call each other sluts with reckless abandon. I'm Hannah Leach.
And I'm Audrey Leach, a supportive younger sister of a former emo.
Today we're going to explore the good, the bad, and the nonsensical of an album that empowered thousands of girls and gays to take up space, whether they realized it or not.
This week we are talking about Paramore's Riot.
I was online the other day and I saw this magician called the Great Jimmy Deanie. Dude, he made this girl disappear.
He must have made Hayley disappear.
Must have been Hayley. Oh, I'm gonna go call my mom. We're done with practice now.
I have to talk to my family online.
I got an eye chat.
I gotta talk to my friends. All my friends on MySpace are show.
That was sweet.
Oh, I can't eat cheese. I have to sing. My throat hurts.
Can I get a hand?
Riot! In stores now. Paramore!
Okay, if you're watching the video version, I need to own up to the fact that my eyeliner is horrible right now.
Oh.
If you saw me in the street, you would say...
That girl needs a tutorial.
Yes, or you'd say, that girl didn't even make it past the first round of interviews at Hot Topic. Her eyeliner is so fucked up. So just know, I'm doing this. This is all performance art.
It accurately
enhance.
displays the makeup stylings of a young middle schooler or high schooler who's trying eyeliner for the first time. That's what it is.
Yes. I don't do...
I was actually wondering, because I was like, that shit is chunky.
Oh, yeah, no, it's bad. It's bad. It's also that I did it really fast. Okay, so if you can't see, I did like a wing, which I don't do wings anymore, like
it's too
big
high
ones.
maintenance. I get insecure like the whole day. Like, is this shit messed up? Like, the shape is too hard to do.
Yes. I am like a baby wing or just like block one color eyeshadow person at this point. Right now I have shitty wing and block color eyeshadow, and it really just looks like I went to Five Below and spent all my allowance and then showed up to record a YouTube beauty tutorial looking the way I look. So I'm just honoring my 2009 self. It is what it is.
I do miss the tutorial days.
Me too.
We both tried.
Oh my god. Wait, do you still have access to yours?
Yeah.
I
almost lied. I was like, no.
I could see, like, we could both pick a section of a makeup tutorial we made and put it in. No. Why are you so ashamed of
because
them?
literally they're so bad. Also,
they're so cute.
My voice is really cute. I'm like, and then we're gonna... Then you'll take remember that bouncy blush stuff?
Yes.
Then you'll take your bouncy blush. I literally did not know anything.
Oh. Will you send me them?
No.
I won't show them to anyone.
No.
Are you serious?
No, I won't. Maybe if I found one that I was okay with, but I'd have to look.
Okay. So last week we shared our big news about us winding down the show with these next few episodes, and you guys were so nice about it, and it was really touching and really sad and just continues to make this bittersweet.
We mentioned this last week, but feel free to send us a voice message or a written message. Like, if you send us a voice note, it's gonna go in the episode, so beware of that. Or you know, obviously you could just send us words. That works too.
Yeah.
But we are looking to make somewhat of a like finale episode. We've done that before where it's basically like a clip show. It'll be that, but like less.
But it's not gonna be clips of ourselves from the past.
It's gonna be like a variety show.
We've literally done a variety show before, so yeah, we have some guests lined up who are crucial characters to the podcast. maybe even a Chris appearance.
Yeah. There's 3 more episodes after this one you're listening to now.
Holy moly. All right. So all that being said, I think it's time for us to flip open the pages of Alternative Press magazine and talk about Paramore's sophomore album, Riot. Riot was released on June 12th, 2007 by Fueled by Ramen, which we'll talk more about later. Riot sold 42,000 albums in the US in its first week, and 3 months later, the album hit its peak at 15 on the Billboard 200. The album went platinum a year after its release and is now certified triple platinum. Misery Business became a hit, and Riot has been listed on many publications like Most Essential Pop Punk Albums lists. It's an album that has really lived on in the lives of emo kids present and past since it came out. Who made Riot? Who is Paramore? What are we talking about? I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you are probably a Paramore fan to some extent. It's hard to really find anyone that doesn't like Paramore at this point in life because they're just great. Okay, so Paramore is a band from Franklin, Tennessee. The most consistent element of the band is their front woman, Hayley Williams. The lineup of this band has been like ever changing and very full of drama, which both is and is not relevant to the music of the band. But I actually, upon doing research for this episode, it actually is really relevant.
Have you ever watched their more recent Apple Music interviews with Zayn?
Yeah.
The vibes are always so weird in those interviews.
We're going to talk more about that because even in the documentary for Riot, the final Riot, like a good chunk of it is them talking about how they like can't stop fighting.
Yeah.
We're going to come back to this concept because every time you hear about this, you're like, is Hayley the problem? Because that's the big question. Like, we can let women be problematic and still love women.
It's almost
Thusly,
like, and from my view,
problem?
it's like, it looks like these guys hardly even know each other, and she's in the center of it and has beef. I don't know why. I think it's because they like never make eye contact, like in anything that I've ever seen. The guys don't look at each other. It's like they don't exist in the same universe.
It's like the Disney princess void.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we will come back to that. But the point is, at the time that Riot came out, the band lineup was like the classic starter lineup. So Hayley singing, Josh Farrow on background vocals and lead guitar, Zach Farrow on drums, and Jeremy Davis on bass. And then Taylor York he's in the band now, but he was like the rhythm guitarist of the band, but he was never like on any of the album covers or on any of the posters. And I'd never understood why, but it turns out it's because he was really, really, really young when they started, and his parents were like, you need to finish high school before you become a professional musician. Meanwhile, Zach Farrow, the drummer, dropped out of school as a freshman. Yeah. He didn't even do high school because of Paramore, which is just
it's like really
I feel like
cool,
people don't talk about that enough.
Yeah, like in all the talk about child stars, people don't talk about the child musical star as much. Like, for example, Taylor Swift is a child star. She's a child star. That's just the truth. But people don't really think of her as a child star because she's in music. In some cases, the music industry can be like 10 billion times worse than film and TV when it comes to unregulated shit. So it's like they totally fit into that category.
So all the songs were written by Hayley Williams and Josh Farrow, with a few exceptions. Notably, Taylor York has a writing credit on That's What You Get, which is so funny because that's like one of their biggest songs from the very beginning, and Taylor wrote on it and like wasn't even in the band. All the songs on the album were written by Hayley Williams and Josh Farrow, and they were recorded at House of Loud and Bennett Studios, respectively. All the songs were produced by David Bendeth, who owned House of Loud Studios in New Jersey. Apparently, it was formerly Whitney Houston's Millennium Studios, but then he bought it and turned it into this like den of like pop punk genius because he went on to produce albums for Breaking Benjamin, Killswitch Engage, Hawthorne Heights, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, Chiodos, Under Oath, All Time Low, You Me at 6, Set Your Goals, etc. Anything you would see in alternative press in like 2008, this man likely was involved in. The album was released on the label Fueled by Ramen, which it's funny because I was just talking to Joey about this because they found a soundtrack for Jennifer's Body, like in a thrift store or something, and it was let out by Fueled by Ramen, and then we were talking about what that is. But essentially, it's this label that was founded by a member of Less Than Jake, but they were kind of like the mystical chocolate factory of all of these big bands of the era. So artists they'd signed and worked with. Yes, they were the Willy Wonka's chocolate factory of this scene. Public domain mystical chocolate factory, yeah. But they worked with All Time Low, A Day to Remember, Fall Out Boy, 21 Pilots, 303, The Academy Is, Cute Is What We Aim For, Dashboard Confessional, Gym Class Heroes, Jimmy Eat World, Fun, Panic at the Disco, Cobra Starship. Really,
white people.
So true, except Gym Class Heroes. And really, this album, like, Riot cemented Paramore in my mind, and really, like, in the popular consciousness's mind, as one of, like, the big four of this type of band of the mid-2000s among the group of My Chemical Romance, Panic at the Disco, Fall Out Boy, and Paramore. About the concept of the album, when I was researching just like the tea about this album, a lot of what the producer had to say, because he did like an interview about it in 2017, so like a 10-year retrospective. He was talking about how so much of the album was fueled by just the youth of all the members, because Hayley was the oldest member and she was 17 when they made the album. So a lot of it was just very like youthful energy and like not cockiness, but I don't even know what the word would be, confidence. Mm-hmm. So I found this chunk from an interview with the producer, and Audrey, would you read it to us?
While we're working on the record, Hayley is in my lounge and she's sitting there with a pen and a piece of paper drawing Riot in orange. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm coming up with the concept for this whole record and what the album jacket is going to look like. Everything is going to be orange. My hair is going to be orange. The mic stand is going to be orange. It's going to be about a riot. And I said, well, it can't be about a riot because that's kind of violent. And she goes, yeah, but it's more like a musical riot where people listen to it and just have a fantastic time. We argued over the album name for half an hour. I went to get a dictionary to tell her what riot meant, and after she sat with me on the couch and she said, you're wrong. This is about a different kind of riot. You're using it literally. Don't do that. That's not what I mean. That's not the riot I mean. I mean a riot of music, of people at a show. That kind of riot. She said, there's good riots and bad riots. That's like the line from Lady Bird that's like, different things can be sad. It's not all war.
You're so right. I thought that quote was funny and kind of just speaks to like the combative approach that it seems like everything was approached with.
I mean, making an album with 17-year-olds. Yeah, that's going to be tough.
Yeah. Also, I did see something that I thought was interesting, which was an interview from probably around when After Laughter came out. And an interviewer asked them why it's such a struggle for them to keep a band together, like a group of musicians together. And I think it was Taylor said that they were all raised in this really conservative Southern environment. And the way that you work through conflict in that environment is that you just don't.
Or you leave. It's like, okay.
Yeah, you leave or you don't. And so no one had like the skills needed for conflict resolution, and they still kind of don't. And so that was a big part of why it was so rocky from the very beginning.
And Hayley, just as a side note, her like family situation and her personal story is similar to that, where like her mother and her packed up one day and like left her dad and they moved to Tennessee.
It was her stepdad, and it was in Meridian, Mississippi.
Yeah. So
they
like,
left Mississippi.
But like
and
her moving to Nashville ended up being like the best thing ever. moving to Tennessee. Franklin, right? Not Nashville.
Yeah.
Franklin.
Yeah. But it was interesting. It's like she was discovered because they moved to Franklin and then she auditioned to sing in a funk cover band. And somehow it ended up being that she was discovered that way and like signed a production deal when she was 14. Because they wanted to make her Avril Lavigne or something similar.
But she had the band, though. The band also existed as like a more like ragtag, wasn't it? Weren't they like friends?
They signed her and then she had been playing with them like for fun, but she really wanted to be a part of the band, of a band, and so she brought the guys with her, but then the label treated them like shit and it was like a whole mess, and it's just been a mess. I know a lot about the lore because I'm still a really big fan, but I was like a really big fan when I was younger, and I spent a bunch of yesterday looking shit up. So in my mind, like as a Paramore fan, I always thought that they really started to fall apart during Brand New Eyes, which was their third album, which is a really good album. When I was researching Riot, it was like they canceled a European tour on like their first major album like cycle because they like couldn't stop fighting. And the music video for That's What You Get is like them hanging out in a house with people because they had to do something like extremely chill and like sitting with their family and friends for them to not like have a giant fight and explode once again. I just think it's so interesting that like this music is so good and it means so much to so many people. But if you scratch the surface of the band's history even a little bit, it's just like immediate conflict.
The music was often about that.
So again, with thinking that it didn't start really falling apart until the third album, Jeremy Davis, who was the bassist, like quit halfway through recording the first album, and they ended up making the album like about him quitting the band. And I'm like, you didn't even have a hit yet and you were making albums about people leaving the band? Like,
yeah,
I just did not realize how much it plagued them from the very beginning. But it definitely did. And it's also just like really, really not a coincidence that it's like all these men being incapable of hanging.
People love Hayley. They go for Hayley. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So that's like the huge subtext. Like the
Yeah.
It's not even sub. It's there, but it's also
Yeah.
like the guys don't even necessarily, like, some of them are like painfully shy. They don't want to be like a visual spotlight of the band, so it's like worked out for them in a sense. But I feel like that has a lot to do with like the never-ending revolving door, because let's be real, Hayley is Paramore, and they try to fight against that a lot. But it's true. I mean, she was signed first. It goes back to the first thing.
She is a hugely talented person. She's not, you can't find anyone else that does what she does better than she does it. And I think that her wanting to be like in a unit and like having like a stable group of people around here as like a stand-in for a stable family, like clearly
it's her biggest conflict.
Yeah, seriously, it is. I feel bad talking so much about all the drama because it's truly not the most interesting thing by far. And
well,
it just came up
is
though.
Interesting.
It is interesting, but I don't know if we're like going too deep either, like from what the average person knows.
The average person does not know this stuff, but that's why we are making this episode. Like,
Okay.
But also, band lyrics are often quite vague. You kind of don't know what they're talking about. And whenever bands make songs about people in the band, it also never comes through to me. I never really know what they're talking about. I don't know what that is about.
The lyrics, the lyrics in Riot especially feel like they don't mean anything.
Yeah.
Because I remember
Except
even when I was younger, I remember talking with like a kid in math class about this, being like, I love Paramore, and at the same time I
don't know what
feel
they're
like she's
talking about.
not saying anything. But then like Brand New Eyes was like intensely saying something very specific.
Yeah. And she's only
and then
gotten
it just stayed
better
that
at
way.
that. She's gotten better.
Yeah. Also being like Christian flavored, because we can't forget that Riot is like very Christian undertoned.
I knew they were raised in that environment, but like, do you mean the sound of it is like Christian rock? Is that what you mean?
No, like the lyrics are Christian in a lot of places. And like on the liner notes when they thank people, every single person's first thank you is to Jesus Christ. We Are Broken is about praying, and Hallelujah is obviously godly, and Miracle is godly. It's just very interesting because it's very subtle. Well, it's not that subtle.
I think it's subtle if you don't know what to look for. Like if you didn't know what they grew up in, I wouldn't have noticed that. Reviews. Stylist Magazine said, Riot is immediately appealing because it focuses on sounds that have been neglected by the genre's frontrunners. This is an uncomplicated album comprising of strikingly uncomplicated music, entirely lacking in 15-word song titles, Jay-Z guest appearances, and theatrical meta concepts about performing in a rock band. Who are they referencing?
They're referencing Panic at the Disco, Linkin Park, and My Chemical Romance.
Oh. Spin said their biggest asset, though, is singer Hayley Williams, an 18-year-old siren with a killer fashion sense and an undeniable knack for writing contemplative love songs.
18-year-old siren sends off the red flag alert for me.
Because siren is about visuals more than it is about... I mean, it also alludes to sound, but like...
There's a sexual connotation to siren. Yeah.
Drowned in Sound said, Riot sounds like a crunching flashlight white amalgamation of Avril Lavigne and Kelly Clarkson, save for token ballad We Are Broken that echoes the enchanting 80s sounds of Belinda Carlisle. Random Man says, nothing more than a flyover Christian rock band with brightly colored hair. Music just as bad as Kelly Clarkson. Pass. Alternative press writer Scott Heisel commented, considering the median age of the band, the musicianship shown on Riot is mightily impressive. While the record as a whole may not be a home run, it's solid stand-up double that keeps Fueled by Ramen's inning alive for their next cleanup hitter.
I put that in there because A, I agree with the point, and B, Scott is my friend / former coworker at School of Rock. And I appreciated that he made the point about the median age of the band because no one else ever really talks about that.
Yeah.
And they're really young. So
the fact that they're even being reviewed is like crazy.
Okay, so reviews from fans. I don't have anything specific pulled just because I wanted to make a point of talking about how Paramore very much like nurtured their fan relationships directly via LiveJournal. So they were talking with fans pretty much one-to-one on like chat boards while they were on tour, like on the bus, like on their phones, on their laptops, just all the time.
Hey, we're Paramore, and we're going to give you a quick update of our new album to come out in June. Everyone's done except for me. We've been here in Jersey for about 2 months, and it's been a fun time, and we can't wait for it to be over just because we're excited for the record to come out and for you guys to hear it.
They also, I remember from when I was a young fan, very earnestly updated their website blog a lot with like videos, and like everything felt very opted into. Their fan base was really, really, really engaged because of the way that they interacted with the fans, and it was before like the deep parasocial weirdness of social media, because it was like 2007, 2008. There's a lot of positive things out there about Riot and about the band in general, and a lot of it is because of the grassroots relationship building.
Who's got shit bad to say about Paramore? Like,
I know.
No one.
I know. Only other members of Paramore.
You're either neutral or you like them, basically.
Or you were in the band and you quit.
Yeah.
Those are the three options. There's a really interesting whole pocket of the internet that is unpacking why Black people love Paramore so much, which is, it's like written about in a lot of different outlets, and it's just like really joyful and interesting. There's an essay I read about it that I will link in the episode description. Hayley let out her first solo project in 2020 with Petals for Armor, and then was supposed to go on tour with that, but then the lockdown happened, so she made Flowers for Vases like as a follow-up kind of, and they're both so good. They're so good. If you have not listened to them, like, you have a giant treat ahead of you, so listen to them if you haven't.
Leave It Alone, I was obsessed with at the time.
Yes, there's so many good songs. I actually like Flowers for Vases a little bit better because she plays every instrument on that album, and it's just like really fucking sad, but it's really so good.
They both are pretty sad.
There's just a few tweets here about Riot that I pulled. So the first one I saw was a side-by-side image of the new Katy Perry logo next to the Misery Business music video, and said, she's entering her Riot Girl era. Like, that's Paramore orange with the Katy Perry logo. Another person said, listening to Paramore Riot for the first time, and it rips. I hate straight me for not embracing good things. The next one, me looking into your eyes without a shred of sarcasm to tell you, Riot by Paramore is the album of 2024 to me. So I found a bunch of tweets that were drama about Taylor Swift, okay, first of all, Taylor Swift, period. But she, I guess, like, insisted that Paramore add Misery Business back onto their set list for the Eras tour, which, if you don't know, Misery Business is like their big song. It's the one that had the whole legal dispute with Olivia Rodrigo with Good For You. It's just a song calling someone like an unforgivable whore. Basically, and they cut it.
She should be allowed to say it. Sorry.
That's what I'm saying. Well, and that's the thing, is that no one ever even shamed her for saying it. She was just like I'm so uncomfortable, I can't do this anymore, which I can't blame her for.
I think with personal growth, you'd be like, okay, all right, that's enough out of me type of thing, but like I'm okay, I'm fine if she does it, but if she doesn't want to do it, that's fine.
It is a viciously mean song.
Yeah,
like, it's kind of chill, but then the second verse, there's a million other girls who do it just like you, looking as innocent as possible to get to who they want and what they like. It's easy if you do it right. I refuse. That's
like the Christianity coming through.
Yeah.
The shame.
Yeah. That's tea.
Yeah, like holier than thou type of thing.
They're gonna blast that outside Planned Parenthood to make people look good.
Yeah,
that's so-
and I can so easily see how like someone like Taylor was influenced by that song. Better Than Revenge.
Yes,
that song is such a takeoff of Misery Business.
My high school band's mashup of Better Than Revenge and Misery Business that I have the audio to, and I will share it because it is really something very 2010 to exist. The last thing I listed here, I thought I was done finding tweets, but then I found this one and I thought it was really funny. I was once blamed for starting a brawl by opening a metal show with an acoustic version of Misery Business and not flipping the genders.
What? What, meaning like he sang it gay type of thing?
Like he sang it gay at the metal show. This album came out summer 2007. The tour was summer 2008. I remember very clearly where I was when I first heard Paramore. I was on the bus, and it must have been at the end of 7th grade, maybe 8th grade. I was on the school bus, and I heard Misery Business on the radio, and when I could only hear like little fragments of it over the crowd of kids screaming, I was like, is this Avril Lavigne? Like,
Yeah.
is this? Because I was also like an Evanescence girl, like any kind of like semi-mainstream female-fronted band, like I was gonna listen to.
I miss that. Oh my God, kids don't get that anymore. Well, I guess they do
know.
because everything they take in is for the first time, but the speed is so much faster now. Like back then, things would come to you organically, and it's like a way to know that you were genuinely interested in that thing because it just came to you and then you picked it out.
So heard it on the radio, was like, holy shit, this is the best song I've heard in my life. And then I don't remember how I figured it out. I think I actually may have heard them say at the end of the...
Yeah, like the host.
Yeah, like the host said what the song was. So then I went home, looked it up, like had the whole album pretty soon. And I remember laying on the purple couch in our living room in Solon, listening to it on my iPod and being like, this is the best thing I've ever listened to in my entire life. And I feel like that is what officially ended my Avril interest, was getting into Paramore. And then like My Chemical Romance and Panic at the Disco kind of fell in around those. I never really got into Fall Out Boy because for some reason people that I was friends with would shit on it, even though they're literally all like the same thing. And they're good. I do, not current Fall Out Boy, but I do appreciate some old Fall Out Boy these days. Yeah, Paramore definitely changed my life as a music fan. The obsession with Hayley took off. I got a bad shag haircut.
You had the Riot sweatshirt?
Oh, I was just about to say, I had the zip-up Riot hoodie, which I know we have documentation of. I was lucky in that Paramore got to be like the band that was like my band. Like my best friend's band was My Chemical Romance, and like everyone very much had like their flag in the moon of their favorite band, and I got to be the Paramore person, and I felt really lucky.
Well, are we gonna tell the Blossom story?
Yes. Have I not told it? I don't know why I would have. There's another really good, well, this is like the good story of my life, probably.
Yeah, this is the best thing that's
ever happened.
And I hardly even knew what was going on, but I knew it was good.
Yes, Audrey was there. So it was summer 2009. It was when Paramore was opening for No Doubt on tour, like arena tours. And it was the first concert that I had ever like been to of my own volition. Yeah, it was both of our, except it was before Lady Gaga, so it was the first one, and it was at Blossom Music Center in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, and it was a huge show. Obviously Blossom is like a very, very, very big venue,
outdoor,
and we saw Paramore play. Outdoor. We saw Paramore play. They were, yes, that's what I'm trying to think of, but like huge. It was amazing. I had all these really shitty videos on my like flip phone at the time. And
it was a lost cause.
But the thing is, I still have them.
You know what's so funny too about the No Doubt thing is that the only song I knew was Spiderwebs because of Guitar Hero.
I know. Well, that's so funny. Earlier today, I just watched this whole retrospective on Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and it so overlaps in my mind with this era of time, especially because let's not forget in Guitar Hero 3 Hayley Williams is a character. No, it was in World Tour. She was in World Tour, which that also, all that like content of her doing the motion capture suit is so good. After they played, I was really thirsty. It was time to go get a snack.
Imagine
from,
if
like,
you had never been thirsty.
I know. Went off to like House Right, if you will, and there was like a concession stand like off to the side of the stage, and we were in line. And okay, if you've never been to a Paramore show, one thing that you should just know is that most of the people at Paramore shows, especially back then, were dressing up as Hayley, essentially. So you would see a lot of white girls with dyed hair, like lots of small white girls. So if you saw someone that looked like Hayley, you'd be like, oh, that's just someone that looks like Hayley. It's not Hayley. But then we were in line, and
there was like nobody else down there because No Doubt was on.
Yeah. So we were down there, and there was this girl in front of me in line, and she was like really small. And I was like, that looks like Hayley. And I was like, no way. But then off the side of her belt, like buckle or whatever, there was like a backstage, like talent pass, like hanging there. And I was like, oh my fucking God. Because I was really obsessed at the time.
Yeah.
And so I think I like said hi or something. And then I was like, hi, like, can I meet you?
Can I meet you is such a funny question to ask.
And she was like,
somebody's
yeah.
face.
And, I know. And so we talked for like probably a minute, and I was so freaked out. I was like, I'm in a band, and like I'm in a band because you're in a band, and like and Allie was there with us, and I was like, she plays bass, and like we do stuff together, and she was like, oh, that's so cool. But like I knew that if I acted up even a little bit, that my life would be over, because then everyone else would notice that she was also there.
Yeah.
So, and this is all me at like 14. So I kept it cool. We got a picture with her. Insert photo here. It was taken on my shitty phone.
No flash at the time.
Oh my God. This is actually the miracle of it all, is that it was no flash. It was taken in the absolute fucking dark on my horrible phone. But thankfully, we had graphic designer, Photoshop knowledgeable mom on deck who got the picture and just cranked the brightness up as much as humanly possible, and was able to recover the image. Yeah. Audrey's like a blurry little blob in the corner.
Which is also like very fitting of like how confused I probably was.
Yes.
Like I mean, I was 10 or 11. I probably had just turned 11. I didn't.
Yeah, so
know
I guess I
what
would
was
have been
going
13. Yeah, it was really. It felt like, I remember I was like,
It's like, this is the best moment of my life, actually.
yes, my heart was racing for like 48 hours afterwards. Like I remember getting home and I was like, how?
Yeah.
How? Like this was my first concert ever at Blossom.
Yeah.
And I am 13 and I just met the singer.
Yeah. That's very Confessions.
I know. Like no one would believe me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, that was like one of the best things that's ever happened to me, for sure.
And I do kind of feel like it like added fuel to the fire of you and Allie's band in a way. Like it's just like, we can do this, or like,
yeah,
you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, and that's the whole thing with Hayley as a person too, is like she is so self-hating but is also so inspirational at the same time that she's just like an interesting specimen in that way.
Shout out to Mom and Dad for bringing us to that.
Yeah, seriously. And we won't forget going to Mariachi Locos beforehand. I know I won't.
No.
So
that entire night is very memorable to me. Like I remember everything about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. And then I haven't actually seen them play in a really long time. No, last time I saw them was 2017. So it was the tour for After Laughter. I went alone. Best Coast opened for them. It was in Akron. It was at the Civic, which was cool.
I feel like I've seen them, but oh, duh, just that one time. Yeah, I haven't seen them since I was 11.
Wow.
Which sucks, because like I am a fan. Like I would have gone to After Laughter, but I didn't. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think the timing might have just been weird. Anyway, so we're going to come back in the second half, talk about the album a little bit more, and just continue to explore our love for Paramore and women in music. Welcome back, everyone. It's your favorite stop on Warped Tour, Sleepover Cinema. And we are talking about Paramore's second album, Riot. Audrey, what songs are on this album?
So we've got For a Pessimist, I'm Pretty Optimistic. That's What You Get. Hallelujah. Misery Business. When It Rains. Let the Flames Begin. Miracle. Crush, Crush, Crush. We Are Broken. Fences. And Born for This.
Upon listening to this album, Audrey, what were your thoughts? Like, what was like your main takeaway?
My main takeaway is, why is When It Rains my number one hit like of my life? Because I wasn't looking at the track list when I listened. I just turned it on. And then I was like laying on that couch right there, just I was like, you know what, I'm going to stare at the ceiling as I listen to this. And then when It Rains came on, like, what I have put When It Rains on my playlists all the time. Like, When It Rains is the song that has followed me, and I feel like it doesn't age, because like I've heard Misery Business too much, like I've heard That's What You Get a lot. The others I have heard, but I was never obsessed with all the others.
Yeah.
But When It Rains, that's my song.
Yeah. I love that song too. Okay, so obviously we've all heard Misery Business a million times. As I was listening to it again, I was just really thinking about it, like, as a song, and like the situation that it existed in, and like the lyrics. Like, okay, just the first part of the verse. I'm in the business of misery. Let's take it from the top. First of all, that is such a weird opening line. Like, where do you even get that from? And then, she's got a body like an hourglass. It's ticking like a clock. It's a matter of time before we all run out. I feel like that kind of description of like a woman's body is like very Panic at the Disco-y, like very, like it's very of the time.
It's not very like female gaze either.
No.
Like, it's very man-ish.
Yeah, it's very mannish. And I also feel like it being called Misery Business and the way that that is the opening line, it just does feel very trendy.
Yeah.
In a specific way. I do genuinely think that it's a really unique song, though. Like, and obviously, as we were saying, it's been like a really big inspiration for a lot of girlies since then. I appreciate it for what it is.
It's bad in the ways we've said it's bad, but I also don't care. Like, this is not one that makes me mad in any way.
No, it would be really silly to be mad about this. Crush, Crush, Crush is like a very horny song. Like, I'm kind of surprised that they the men in the band didn't like refuse to let that one out, because okay, so I was listening to this album while I was making a pot. I was sitting at the wheel throwing pottery listening to it, and I was listening to the lyrics where she's like, rock and roll baby, don't you know that we're all alone now, give me something to sing about. I'm like, that is kind of sexy. But then I was like, hold on, no, think about other things that other 17-year-old pop singers were singing at that age or earlier. Yeah. And I'm like, wait, there's a really interesting double standard for like women in that scene at that time. Like, having any sort of like femininity in their like expression was really not a thing. And actually, so I saw this in watching interviews with Hayley, and I have links for them, where in interviews for Riot, there's this whole section of this documentary where she's talking about how like her being a girl in the band is like a huge buzzkill for the guys, because they like are almost able to like bro out on the bus, but like they can't fully bro out on the bus because she's there, and like she's like a wet blanket basically. And then there's this quote from Josh Farrow being like, yeah, it's kind of weird having a girl in the band, but it could be much worse. And then,
how? What do you mean?
Yeah. And she's very much like would like refuse to wear cute clothes, and was very much just like,
Tomboyed
don't pay
out.
attention to me. Yeah. I watched a video recently from like within the past year of Hayley getting ready for a show at the O2. It was like with some publication that was backstage with her going through all of her different outfits. And there's this shot of her in like a sparkly little mini dress, and she's like, 16-year-old Hayley would be dead that I'm wearing this. And I was like, that makes me happy. Yeah. Like,
I would have been so, if I were her at that age, I would have been so desperate to have somebody to queen out with backstage. Like, I would have been like, we need to get somebody else back here, because this vibe is absolutely vile. Like, this is just bad.
Well, and it's so funny too, because it's so clear that like her friend Brian, who is also her business partner with Good Dye Young, which is like her hair dye brand, like they queen out. Like that is the point.
That's what they do.
It's it's like the influence of Brian is just very strong in her life, and it's like you just love to see it when there just seem to have been like a lot of really horrible like male presences in her life, but not him. And also Taylor, who has been basically in the band since the very beginning and prevented Paramore from completely going under before After Laughter. He's her partner now.
I know.
So
I was gonna say that.
I'm like,
which
is
is
that a good
crazy. Like,
it's a little
because she had a
crazy.
divorce a few years ago.
Yes, and she had been married to the guitarist from Newfound Glory, but he apparently had cheated on his previous partner with Hayley, and then they got married, and it was like messy.
Yeah, I'm like, no, like that is very cute for you guys, but I am also like, they know the true stakes of being in a relationship and in a band.
Yeah.
Like they know what it means. So
Yeah. This is the thing, is that it's like in bad taste to speculate, but it's so hard not to, because it's such a central part of the band. Can women have it all? No, I guess. Can you?
I don't know why
know.
you are so hesitant to speculate, because it's Paramore. I feel like normally that's like all we do.
It's complicated with Paramore, especially because it's like she's like pretty open about how uncomfortable she's been like with her gender role like over time, like throughout her whole career. And so it's like you really want to just view her as like an artist divorced from any of that context, but so much of her work is about the context of who she is. I think that the truth is that she is kind of just a bona fide rock star, but because she's a woman, it is really
well,
complicated.
It kind of, what you're saying kind of reminds me of Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
Where it's like Stevie Nicks is that, like Stevie Nicks is like Hayley Williams in that sense, and it's like you want to just see her as this like individual icon.
Yeah.
But when you actually know the lore or look into it at all, like the interpersonal relationships of Fleetwood Mac are kind of like what made, that's another band where they would write about each other. Like, that was important. You can't ignore it. I mean, it doesn't just come down to gossip. It becomes like a story of its own that is also important. You can't taking that away really true. Is not, it's not all just like gossip. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, and okay. So let's keep pressing into this, because like, as I said earlier, I didn't realize that the music was inspired by band drama all the way back to 2005. For some reason, I feel the need to like put on blinders about the drama and be like, it's the music, because it is the music, but like it feels like it's disparaging to Hayley somehow, to like, or like belittling of her to acknowledge it.
Because
I don't think that's right.
There's so many people that, and probably like press outlets that have made her feel that way, like have made her feel small in the context of her own career and like her own life and her own band. So I can understand, like as like a conscientious fan, you want to just look away from that to feel like you're on her side. It's like, I'm on the Hayley Alliance or whatever. But it's actually
The
like
Hayley
a
Alliance,
huge part of why they're compelling. I generally like individual artists more than bands. And there's a reason for that. It's because you can focus in on the story. It's like A Star is Born type shit. Like, the story of this individual. But as soon as you start adding more people, it gets cloudy. Like, they can hide behind each other and they can kind of obscure like who they are as individuals because they're under this label of a band name. And it's like, they might look cool and stoic and stuff, but like if I can't know about what's going on with them, then like I don't really care that much. You have to actually be talented. I'm just saying it has to be the combination. Of really singular talent and also some kind of story. It doesn't have to be like a crazy story, but just something. I need something.
And you're valid.
Yeah.
That's my response. But it's also, like, I think especially early, I mean, they were so young, though. Like, I don't know. It's, this is speculation again. There's a lot of documentation of her being really late to shit. She even has a song about being late to shit on the newest album, Running Out of Time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't like their new album.
Here's the thing. I don't either.
Yeah, like, which sucks. Like, I wanted to, but I was like, it's not to say it's giving millennial, but like it's giving
that's
millennial.
what I was gonna say.
Like,
it's just
older
like,
side of millennials.
It's just the lyrics get a little bit, and this is what, because this is the thing is, like, I've been such a big Paramore fan for so long,
And they've always been cool, no matter what.
Yeah, and After Laughter, like, had me fucked up. I love
that album too.
It's so good. Basically, like, the solo albums were so good that I was like, okay, like, I'm locked in. And then, like, when the singles came out for the new album, like, I really didn't like This Is Why. And then The News is like what made me, like, have to, like,
stop,
take a lap.
Yeah, I was like, oh no. I was like, please no.
If the lyrics to The News are like, I have to turn off the news.
Yeah,
because
like,
it's too stressful.
Yeah,
but the thing
you
is,
can have
like,
that, but
these
that's
layers.
not the lyric. Like, go deeper than that.
But she tries to. This is the thing is, like, I don't want to knock her for being honest, because I think that her being 34 and feeling that way is the way it makes sense.
Yes.
That's fine. I think that it might just need some more time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how Audrey and I were talking about this recently, how I, like, just recently have been able to, like, listen to Solar Power and not be annoyed. The Lord album.
I don't think she didn't make it clear enough that that there were some satirical there were satirical songs and then there were non-satirical songs, and she didn't make it clear enough to, I think, which ones were coming from which place.
I feel like The Room just wasn't read, like, in general.
She prides herself on being isolated a lot of the time.
And it was just very much like, I've been on a remote island making satire work about rich people. It's like, girl, what? Like, there was just something about it where I was like, I don't get it. Also, I know Chris is gonna come for me, but I don't care because
I don't think he will. I think he gets that.
To be a creative white woman in this era is to flail. That just is it. Hayley Williams' heart could not possibly be more in the right place. And also just her existence is a public service. Her sharing her talent is a public service. I don't have any issues with the cringe of the lyrics. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm just like, it felt for the first time a little bit not for me. Like, I mean, I've only listened to the whole album once. Yeah, I had never felt that way about Paramore before.
I just want to make sure that I say that on the album, I don't like Miracle or We Are Broken or Born for This, really. We Are Broken is a really weird Jesus ballad. And also, I didn't mention this, but Fences, to me, always sounded like it belonged on a Dan Schneider show. Like, the production of it with, like, the acoustic guitars and stuff, like, it just sounded like a iCarly ass song. I don't know why. Okay, so I want to get at something here, which is that this was kind of what stood out a lot to me as I was researching about Paramore and about Hayley specifically, is, like, this sounds really emo, which I guess aligns with the subject matter, but I think just, like, on a personal note, like, I think that Hayley Williams, me not being able to just, like, be her was, like,
a huge
genuinely a huge disappointment for me. Like, I remember wanting to, like, lie about my height because she was 5'3" and I was 5'5", and I would, like, want to be the same height as her, and, like, I wanted to, like, get her hair cut and, like, look like her, and I never would look like her. And she's, like, really small, which is so funny because in, like, every interview now she's like, yeah, so I'm, like, really petite, and so, like, it's funny, like, but she's serious, but it's really funny. She was like, I like to go to, like, estate sales and thrift stores and, like, find things that little old ladies liked because that is, like, what actually fits me.
The clothes were smaller and people were smaller.
And the weird thing is I feel like this is still a thing for me now that I'm, like, still unpacking, is, like, okay, this is like so bad, but I don't really care. We can, I'm sure that, okay, we're wrapping up this show, so there's no reason for me to not just go there. I am gonna be 29 in July, and still, like, this is triggering. So, like, genuinely, I'm sorry if this is like a trigger warning to people with eating disorder issues, but like seeing like Ozempic Lana and like skinny, like, it's too much. Like, it's
really, 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 really bad.
It's really
Hayley
bad.
Williams, at least, she's
consistent.
She's consistent. She's always been that small. I don't know if she does anything to be that small, but I don't think she does. I think she just is that small.
I mean, I think there's got to be something going on, but like not whatever
the fuck Lana's doing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I literally could not believe the images I was seeing yesterday. Like, did you probably I don't know if you saw, but like,
which
she accepted
ones?
this award at this like British thing yesterday. Literally, if you put her side by side with her in 2012, like, it's not just Ozempic. Like, there's more than Ozempic going on here, because how in the world? And it has to do with her hairstyling. It had to do with what she was wearing, blah, 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 and her makeup. But, like...
Yeah. I think that there's something specifically in me that's, like, very weird about, like, the contemporary female musicians that I really love, where I'm like, well, if someone else is alive looking like that and sounding like that right now, what is my excuse to not literally be that other living person? It's like, bitch, what do you mean? You're not that person.
Wait, be
That's
that
why.
other living person? What do you mean?
Like, it's like, if they can do it, why can't I? And it's like
do the whole transformation shit?
Yeah, or it's literally just like, the thing is, we all can do that, but that's not a good thing.
Yeah, like, more... Exactly. I think that's what... if my mind ever goes down a path like that, it's like... it feels morally bankrupt in some ways.
And this goes down the whole path of, like, so many things, but it's like it's
you
more...
can do what you want with your body.
Literally do what you want, what you want with my body.
And that's true, but that doesn't mean that it's not harmful for you to contribute.
Well, right, but it's like, so are we going to sit here and, like, watch all these other bitches contribute?
I am also fair to
like,
contribute.
I also can be toxic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, let me be the one.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think the point is that, and maybe there's some level of, like, gayness to it too. I don't fucking know. But the point is that I think that I, like, took steps back from my Hayley obsession, because I was like,
I'm not gonna be her. Like,
yeah, like, I'm not gonna be her, so I have to, like, chill the fuck out.
Yeah, that's healthy. I mean, it hurts to be obsessed with someone like that, because it's a complete lost cause.
Yes, and she also is, like, not really on social media.
Yeah.
So
you just, I mean, there's a lot of really potent examples of girls trying to do that, like the Ariana Grande girl. There's a Taylor Swift girl, like doppelgangers. They get absolutely shat on.
It's because people are just jealous.
I don't know. I do think it's embarrassing.
I mean, it is embarrassing, but it's like, if you are taking the time out of your day to, like, shit on someone that hard, it's probably because you're jealous.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
It's gotta be part of it.
I think it's more, to me, it reads more as, I'm not jealous of this person, like, necessarily, but it's like, I'm a bigger fan than you, and I don't have to look like her to know that I know more. You know, it's like, to me, it's more of like a stan thing. Like you're lame because you think you have to look like her to, like, know shit. I don't know.
I do kind of love a random white woman who leans into looking like Taylor Swift, though. Like, I find that to be really funny.
And she really does. She fools people. You know what? There was a period of time where I was leaning into that. I didn't think that I looked like her, especially because I'm brunette. But when she still wore her hair curly, there was this girl who we went to high school with. I know I've talked about this before, but she told me I looked like Taylor Swift, and I was like, really? And it's just so like, not really, no. I leaned into the style part of it because I liked what she wore, and I was like, I can get a barrel curler and accentuate my, or what were they called?
A curling
wand. Yeah, and I can do that. Us and the curling wands, We were best friends.
Besties. Oh my God.
And
I still have it. I still
have mine too. But when you see a beachy wave like on like straight hair, it is so evocative of like 10 years ago. No one really does that anymore. I mean, they do, but it's just different.
I haven't been able to curl my hair since I got the haircut with the middle part when we went to Chicago 2 summers ago. I don't know what happened. My hair has not been able to keep a curl.
I mean, your hair already struggled. Like, it was always hard. It did, but it was never the easiest thing for your hair to keep a curl.
I mean, it was normally like once I had my strategy down, which was really good, it would hold curl for a long time when I did it the right way. Mm-hmm. But it was like my strategy stopped even working. It was weird. Well,
your hair technically everything changes a bit every 7 years. So like the strategy has to change because you physically are not the same person that you were.
I mean, literally look at me now, bitch. Life comes at you fast, sitting here with this eyeliner, this hair that needs a haircut. I look like a freaking Halloween enthusiast in the middle of May.
You look like a Beetlejuice fan, I think.
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I just wanted to finish on something that I thought was interesting. So I found this excerpt from a Pitchfork revisit review of Riot from 2023, and I just thought, okay, despite everything I just said about the toxic representation / aspiration stuff, this is a lot more positive, and this is what they had to say. In a fraught era, Riot was a reset, a brash joyride, a door reopened by a woman overtaking a male-dominated scene. 15 years after its release in 2022, when Paramore headlined the inaugural When We Were Young festival, Williams refused to look back with those rose-tinted glasses. We find ourselves a pillar of the very scene that threatened to reject us and me, Williams wrote in an Instagram story addressing those who changed it. Young girls, queer kids, and anybody of color. We have shifted this scene together, she wrote, messily, angrily, heartbroken, and determined. The paradox of pop emo for still malleable kids to whom it was delivered was to have an obsessive, germinal love for music so wound up in diffident feelings of self-hate to experience as with most sounds descended from punk, however removed they may be, disconnection at the heart of connection. To be a young girl in love with this scene was to have the hope that I might find my own way to belong, Williams continued. It took years to find that belonging. But Riot's sleek, biting songs of brokenness and strength reproduced the feeling eternally, of not being alone in your pain or fury, of being out of step together, the most enduring definition of emo her generation would offer. Which I think is true.
Well said.
Yeah. The person who wrote this has a big place in their heart for the album. And I do think that we could have talked more just about how Hayley was truly the only girl that was relevant in this scene. And that's why it was anyone who wasn't a white guy put all of their eggs in her basket as a fan of the genre.
Yeah.
Because
there was no one else.
Yeah. And that's so much pressure for someone to have to carry around with them. And I just want to give that credit. Basically, end of the day, we love Paramore. We love Hayley. I'm glad that we were able to talk about Paramore before the show ended because they were a really big part of my youth and thusly Audrey's too.
Yeah, by osmosis.
Yes. Riot is great. That's it.
I don't know what they're talking about half the time, but it is good.
And you know what? That's none of our business. It's between her and the Lord.
We look away.
Just like we look away from all the band conflict, we also look away from not knowing what the fuck she's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so Audrey.
For more from us, we're on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Sleepover Cinema and post a full video version of each episode on YouTube every Thursday. You can follow me, Audrey, at Audrey A. Leach on everything.
And you can follow me, Hannah, at Real Judy Garland on Instagram. And please join our Discord server if you haven't joined yet. The doors are not shuttering on her.
And
so
all our episodes are staying live and all our accounts are staying up. There's no disappearing.
Yes. again, all the episodes are still going to be live, so share them around with your friends and family.
Wouldn't it be so funny if we went viral after we ended?
That would be the worst.
Actually, that'd be kind of amazing.
Yeah,
Because it's like we're still alive. We could,
That's true.
Like, okay.
Just capitalize on that somehow.
Yeah. Sleepover Cinema is a production of Evergreen Podcasts, produced, edited, and engineered by us, Hannah and Audrey Leach. Sleepover Cinema is mixed by Sean Will Hoffman with theme music by Josh Perlman Hall. Executive producer is Michael D'Aloia.
We're better off. Whoa, that was so out of the key. Oh my God. That was like
All
the
right.
most insane thing I've ever done. That's it.
We're
Leave
done.
that in. That's it.